George Etherege. Sir George Etherege was a notable English dramatist known for his contributions to the Restoration comedy genre. His significant works include The Comical Revenge or Love in a Tub, She Would If She Could, and The Man of Mode or Sir Fopling Flutter. Etherege's early life included a period in France during the 1640s and around 1653 an apprenticeship to an attorney in Beaconsfield. His literary career took off with The Comical Revenge or Love in a Tub, which premiered at Lincoln's Inn Fields Theatre in 1664. This play was innovative in its portrayal of contemporary manners, particularly the character of Sir Frederick Frolic. While it incorporated traditional elements such as a romantic plot and heroic couplets, it also introduced a farcical subplot. The play's success brought Etherege into the fashionable literary circles of the time, where he socialized with notable figures like Sir Charles Sedley, the Earl of Rochester, and the Earl of Dorset. In 1668, Etherege's second comedy, She Would If She Could, faced difficulties due to subpar acting. Nevertheless, it marked an important step in the development of the comedy of manner genre by achieving a consistent tone, free from the incongruous romantic verse often seen in earlier works. The Man of Mode or Sir Fopling Flutter was Etherege's final and most celebrated comedy. It received acclaim for its wit and style. During the period from 1668 to 1671, Etherege served as a secretary to Sir Daniel Harvey's English ambassador in Turkey. Afterward, he wrote the prologue for the opening of the new Dorset Garden Theatre in 1671 and was knighted in 1680. In 1685, Etherege was appointed envoy to the Diet in Ratisbon. His responsibilities included both official and personal correspondence as reflected in his letterbooks from that time. His loyalty to King James II led him to follow the deposed monarch to Paris after the Glorious Revolution of 1688. Known for his easygoing and affable personality, Etherege possessed a keen understanding of human nature. His style of comedy greatly influenced his successors and persisted into modern times. Despite this, his plays gradually lost popularity on the stage after the mid 18th century. Nevertheless, his love lyrics remain charming examples of his literary talent. George Farquhar. George Farquhar was a renowned Irish playwright, renowned for his comedic talent in the early 18th century. Distinguished by his original dialogue and a deep understanding of stagecraft, Farquhar's background as an actor greatly influenced his work. Born to a clergyman, he initially attended Trinity College Dublin as a Caesar. Farquhar's early career saw him attempting acting at the Smock Alley Theatre in Dublin. However, an unfortunate incident during a performance of John Dryden's Indian Emperor, where he accidentally injured a fellow actor, led him to abandon acting. Encouraged by fellow actor Robert Wilkes, with whom he had worked in Dublin, Farquhar decided to pursue playwriting in London. His early plays often revolved around a common theme: young men indulging themselves in the first four acts before attempting unconvincing reform in the fifth act. Despite this predictable structure, Farquhar's work stood out for their freshness, wit, and genuine human empathy. Farquhar made his debut as a playwright with Love and a Bottle in 1699, which received a favourable reception at London's Drury Lane Theatre. This was followed by The Constant Couple, later that same year. He continued with the sequel to the latter, Sir Harry Wildair, in 1701. Between 1702 and 1704, he penned The Inconstant, adapted from John Fletcher's Wild Goose Chase, The Twin Rivals, and The Stagecoach, a farce translated from French sources. However, Farquhar's most significant contributions to English drama came in 1706 with The Recruiting Officer and the following year with The Bow Stratagem, which he completed shortly before his death. These plays showcased Farquhar's mastery of language and character development, qualities more commonly associated with Elizabethan playwrights. Sir John Vanbrugh. Sir John Vanbrugh was a multifaceted English figure recognized for his roles as an architect, dramatist, and herald. While he is celebrated for his architectural masterpieces like Blenheim Palace and Castle Howard, He also made significant contributions to the world of English drama with his two Restoration comedies, The Relapse, published 1696, and The Provoked Wife, both of which generated considerable controversy initially but later became enduring favorites on the stage. He received knighthood in 1714 for his contributions. Throughout his life, Vanbrugh displayed a radical spirit in various aspects. As a committed Whig in his youth, he played a part in the plot to overthrow James II and enthrone William III. This resulted in his imprisonment by the French as a political dissident. As a playwright, he courted controversy not only due to the explicit content of his plays, but also for their messages advocating women's rights in marriage. He faced criticism on both fronts and was a primary target of Jeremy Collier's influential work, A Short View of the Immorality and Profaneness of the English Stage. In his architectural career, Vanbrugh pioneered what would later be known as English Baroque, displaying the same boldness and audacity that marked his early political activism and plays centered around marriage themes. His architectural innovations challenged conservative opinions on the subject. Vanbrugh arrived in London during a tumultuous period in the city's only theatre company. Ongoing disputes between the frugal management and disgruntled actors culminated in a mass walkout by the actors. In January 1696, a new comedy, Love's Last Shift, by Colley Cibber, was staged with the remaining actors. Vanbrugh, with his critical eye, saw the need for a sequel to this play, and despite it being his debut work, he eagerly provided it, immersing himself in the theatrical world. The Relapse or Virtue in Danger, written by John Vanbrugh in 1696, is a notable Restoration comedy and serves as a sequel to Colley Cibber's Love's Last Shift or The Fool in Fashion. In Love's Last Shift, a libertine from the Restoration era experiences a transformation and reformation thanks to his wife's clever strategies. However, in The Relapse, this reformed rake succumbs once more to a temptation and engages in a new affair. His virtuous wife faces a determined seduction attempt and struggles to resist. John Vanbrugh meticulously crafted The Relapse with particular actors from Drury Lane in mind. He incorporated their stage personas, public images, and personal relationships into the play's fabric. One such actor was Colley Cibber, renowned for his role as the extravagant Lord Foppington in both Love's Last Shift and The Relapse. However, Vanbrugh's creative aspirations faced obstacles due to fierce competition between London's two theatre companies, each vying for actors from the other. The Relapse almost faced abandonment, but a successful performance in November 1696 validated Vanbrugh's intentions and rescued the company from financial ruin. In terms of the play's content, Vanbrugh's The Relapse explores its characters with less sentimentality and more psychological depth compared to Love's Last Shift. Amanda and Lovelace, the central characters, confront fresh temptations and react with greater psychological realism. Lovelace becomes infatuated with the vivacious widow Berinthia, while Amanda struggles to uphold her virtue in the face of an admirer named Worthy. Apart from Amanda, Lovelace, and Sir Novelty, also known as Lord Foppington, who appear in both plays, the rest of the characters in The Relapse are new. The play includes a trickster subplot featuring young Tom, who outwits his older brother, Lord Foppington, to win his intended bride and her substantial dowry. This subplot occupies a significant portion of the play and provides ample room for Colley Cibber's celebrated portrayal of a fop. Vanbrugh enhances the character of Lord Foppington, allowing him to purchase a title and imbuing him with self-assuredness and selfishness to endure all humiliations. Despite his superficiality, Amanda notes that Lord Foppington is not a fool by nature, making him the greatest of all Restoration fops, according to literary historians. The Provoked Wife, another comedy penned by John Vanbrugh in 1697, made its debut in Lincoln's Inn Fields. While some accounts suggest that Vanbrugh composed parts of the play in the Bastille, these claims rest on uncertain historical evidence. The play revolves around Lady Brute, previously virtuous but provoked into infidelity by her unpleasant husband Sir John Brute. Their marriage based on hasty motivations, she for financial security, he for physical gratification, leaves them both seeking diversions. Sir John embarks on a drunken escapade, even appearing before a magistrate disguised in his wife's attire. Meanwhile, Lady Brute and her niece Belinda don the attire of shepherd market courtesans for secret rendezvous with their lovers, heart-free and constant. Their actions are scrutinized by the envious Lady Fanciful, who desires heart-free for herself. Amidst Lady Fanciful's indifference, Belinda manages to secure her beloved and marry for love. However, the play concludes on a somber note for the inebriated Sir John Brute, who attempts to assault his wife, discovers two gallons hidden in his wardrobe, and eventually accepts certain realities rather than facing further humiliation. Colley Cibber. Colley Cibber was a multifaceted English figure known for his roles as an actor, manager, playwright, and poet laureate. His memoir, Apology for the Life of Colley Cibber, published 1740, provides a personal and anecdotal account of his life in a somewhat rambling style. Cibber's theatrical career included writing 25 plays for his own company at Drury Lane. However, his adaptations of works from various sources, including Moliere and Shakespeare, drew criticism from contemporaries like Robert Lowe and Alexander Pope for their perceived miserable mutilation. Cibber primarily saw himself as an actor, achieving popularity with comical fop roles. However, his attempts at tragic acting were often met with ridicule. His brash and extroverted personality did not endear him to his peers, and he faced accusations of tasteless theatrical productions, questionable business practices, and opportunistic social and political maneuvering. His appointment as poet laureate, in particular, raised eyebrows, as many believed more deserving poets had been overlooked. Cibber's notoriety reached its peak when he became the chief target of Alexander Pope's satirical poem, The Dunciad. Cibber's literary journey began when he joined Thomas Betteren's company at Drury Lane Theatre in 1690. In 1693, he wrote Love's Last Shift to secure a role for himself, earning recognition as both an actor and a playwright. This play inspired Sir John Vanbrugh to create a sequel, The Relapse or Virtue in Danger, in which Cibber's character transformed into Lord Foppington, a role originally portrayed by Cibber. Cibber's adaptation of Shakespeare's Richard III in 1700 became the preferred acting version of the play until Henry Irving restored the original text in 1871. His adaptation included Shakespearean sounding lines that have endured in theatrical history. Cibber also crafted comedies of manners such as She Would Not, and The Careless Husband. Colley Cibber's poetry faced criticism during his time and is generally considered poor. However, his significance in British theatre history lies in being one of the early actor managers, as well as the cultural value of his comedies as reflections of evolving 18th century tastes and ideologies. His autobiography serves as a valuable historical source for understanding his era. Jeremy Collier. Jeremy Collier was an English bishop and a prominent figure among the non-jurors, a group of clergy who refused to take the oaths of allegiance to William III and Mary II in 1689. The non-jurors established a schismatic Episcopalian church. Collier is also renowned for his notable critique of the immorality of the theatre. Collier began his education at Caius College, Cambridge in 1669, and in 1677 he was ordained as a priest. He served as chaplain to the Countess Dowager of Dorset and became the rector of Ampton near Bury at St. Edmunds in 1679. In 1685 he assumed the position of lecturer at Gray's Inn, but he resigned during the Glorious Revolution of 1688. His support for James II led to his imprisonment in Newgate for writing a pamphlet. Although he was released without trial after several months, he found himself imprisoned again in November 1692 on suspicion of treasonable correspondence with James. Fortunately, he was freed within 10 days. In 1696, Collier performed a daring act by granting absolution on the scaffold to Sir John Friend and Sir William Parkins, who had been condemned for attempting to assassinate William III. His involvement led to the imprisonment of his associates, but Collier managed to escape and lived under a sentence of outlawry. Eventually, when the turmoil subsided, he returned to London. In March 1698, Jeremy Collier published an anti-theatre pamphlet titled A Short View of the Immorality and Profaneness of the English Stage. In this pamphlet, he launched scathing attacks on several prominent playwrights of the time, including William Wycherley, John Dryden, William Congreve, John Vanbrugh, and Thomas Durfee. Collier accused these playwrights of promoting profanity, blasphemy, indecency, and undermining public morality by sympathetically portraying vice in their popular comedies on the London stage. Collier began his pamphlet with a resounding conclusion that the English stage, along with its poets and playhouses, had played a significant role in corrupting society. He then meticulously presented his evidence, conducting thorough readings of the Restoration comedies. He argued that these plays lacked poetic justice, as the playwrights failed to adequately punish their morally questionable characters, contributing to the play's immorality. Despite the pamphlet's title, Collier's charges against the playwrights were generally considered mild by modern standards, as blatant blasphemy was not allowed on stage or in print at the time. Nevertheless, Collier's approach was innovative for his era. Instead of vague diatribes, he provided detailed examples and citations from the plays themselves, mounting a comprehensive indictment of the entire Restoration stage. This led to a pamphlet war both for and against Collier's arguments, which persisted sporadically until about 1726. In response to Collier's accusations, John Dennis wrote The Usefulness of the Stage, published in 1698. John Vanbrugh penned a jestful retort titled A Short Vindication of the Relapse and the Provoked Wife from Immorality and Profaneness. And William Congreve refuted Collier's allegations in Amendments of Mr. Collier's False and Imperfect Citations. Playwrights like Thomas Durfee responded on the stage with his play Campaigners addressing Collier's strictures. Collier defended his views with Defense of the Short View in 1699, while Edward Filmer countered Collier's stance with a defense of plays in 1707. By the end of the 17th century, the Restoration comic style had waned, making way for a more sentimental approach as seen in Colley Cibber's Love's Last Shift. Collier's pamphlet contributed to the rising public opposition against the perceived indecency of the plays staged over the previous decades. Collier asserted that the purpose of his plays was to promote virtue and condemn vice, while playwrights like Congreve believed that their role was to portray society's vices and follies to correct them. Collier's restrictions on comedy reflected neoclassical notions of dramatic decorum, and his arguments aligned with those who imposed the law of poetic justice on tragedy. Although a short view of the immorality and profaneness of the English stage is often credited with curbing the explicit nature of Restoration comedy, the decline of this genre had already begun. External factors such as the Glorious Revolution and the disfavor of William and Mary towards the theatre had contributed to its demise. The granting of immunity from prosecution to Collier by William III for his pamphlet marked a significant indication of the end of Restoration theatre's prominence.